Welcome to High Infidelity, the best cheating videos on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's get into the video.
Can't heal after my wife broke my trust, betraying me 1 year ago. I married young and was fascinated at the time, therefore I disregarded any red flags or character flaws in my wife. However, she was emotionally connected to me, so we married a few months into our relationship. She became pregnant shortly after, and we moved in with her parents since I was stranded in her nation during the lockdown. Anyway, since we were in a serious relationship, I thought it was superfluous for her to have male friends on her Instagram account. She was cool with everything until I was going to remove her so-called relative, who was really a cover-up and a person with whom she had some type of friendship/a brief relationship. I didn't realize it was her ex till later. She argued with me about it and then re-added him. Now I know she lied about her encounters multiple times, if not large falsehoods, then tiny ones that she subsequently amended. Keep in mind that I didn't mind it, but it was the fact that she lied about it that bothered me. This made me want to sit her down and get her to confess about things, and she began talking about this guy she called cousin or like a brother, and how she complimented him in certain areas while despising other aspects of his conduct. She told me they met twice. First, when she was cheated on by her partner, and he traveled from another country to assist her. Second, she went at him. Now, I only know about the second circumstance she told me about, in which he came to her apartment and attempted to make contact, kissing her and so on. But she eventually declined and told her she cannot. Obviously, I don't want to go into too much detail, but when I asked her how she felt when he caressed her buttocks, she stated she became moist. So I'm doubtful about what she's saying since she previously told me that there was this one man who offered her to a hotel, but she rejected, but afterwards admitted to me that they slept, which she told me in a terrible way while crying. My life fell apart and I froze when I discovered it wasn't her cousin. She sobbed to me and said, "I know who I really love." I was completely broken. Because I still didn't trust her, I found myself asking for more information about where they were in the apartment and what precisely transpired there. After a few tries, she claimed that I already knew everything about her, and that was the end of it. However, the final time I contacted her and stated something was hurting me and asked her why she claimed she got wet if it wasn't true, she answered nervously, "I said it to make you furious." When I questioned her why she added some of her male friends from school back and her ex, she stated it was to show them her relationship status, which is different from what she said the first time. Now she isn't the worst person ever. She displays her devotion for me despite the fact that we have a lot of disagreements because I haven't totally recovered from the lies, and I don't know how to go on. A kid is involved, and I am unable to just disengage since it is a significant mental strain for me, as several have suggested here. Story 2. My married father is sleeping with my coworker. Starting with the fact that my parents separated in September of last year, let's get started. After 26 years of marriage, my father decided to downsize and move into an apartment around 5-7 miles away from our family home. My father, on the other hand, remained steadfast in his attempts to recapture my mother. After that, they continued to sleep in the same bed when we went on vacation a couple more times. Since then, my mother has remained to reside at his home with him. Despite the fact that they were separated, it seemed like their relationship was blooming. I eventually found employment as a waitress at the bar where my boyfriend works, and I've been there ever since. I had met the lady before I started working there, and we had a good relationship. Staying late and having a glass of wine with her at the bar was something I looked forward to doing. My father has just recently started acting in an outlandishly bizarre manner, which began a few weeks ago. He started talking about how he wanted to change his appearance, such as by coloring his hair or having a facelift. It was odd, and I didn't want to be in the room with them when it happened. I stopped texting, calling, and going to see him in person. As a result of seeing my father on a date with a woman 3 days later, an old friend inquired of my brother about whether or not my father had finally gotten divorced. My heart had been torn open. His actions were taking place at the same time as he was continuing to place demands on my mother. I was interested by the lady's story, but I didn't go out of my way to find out more about her. When I confronted my father about it, he flatly denied it. After telling my mother that I didn't believe him, she became aware that there may be another woman in the picture as a result of my disclosure. He has expressed a desire to spend Christmas and New Year's with us, but I have refused. Then, around 2 weeks ago, my father told me that he would be required to go for business purposes. We didn't give a about him, so we just let him go. Meanwhile, my colleague sends a message to the group chat, asking if anybody might cover for her while she goes on a trip with her new boyfriend, who had just asked her out. Our congratulations were returned with a thank you, as well as the news that they had been dating since the beginning of the month. She was inebriated when she arrived last week. One of my friends was working at the time, and she opted to come forward with her confession of sleeping with my father. My buddy, of course, notified my partner, who then informed me of the situation. At this point, I'm at a loss on what to do next. The holidays are still many weeks away, and I don't want my mother's holiday to be spoiled, but I also don't want my father to get away with it. Story 3. Cheating on me was a huge mistake. My job is very sluggish. I became bored and began to think about my exes. I remembered one ex and how she informed me about her grandmother's death. Then I understood what a terrible mistake it was to cheat on me. Before I explain why, let me give you a little history of our relationship. We dated for many months. The relationship was fantastic. I was able to assist her in dealing with her despair. She grew up with toxic parents. I wanted to take her out of that house and have her move in with me, but I knew it would take some time, but not before. She had an affair with me. I discovered she was flirting with 2 men. I broke up with her and haven't spoken to her in months. When we eventually met, she asked me for another opportunity. I knew she'd cheat again, but I gave it another go. I was hoping it would all work out. It didn't work since she ignored me for a week. This will be crucial. Later, I knew she was cheating, so I stopped it once again. I would have made her move out of her parents' house if she hadn't cheated on me. Could have kept assisting her with her melancholy. This is why it was a blunder. She ended up moving in with her grandma 2 years later. Her grandma required the services of a caregiver, someone to bring her the medications she needs. She was unable to do so. She was often forgetting to give her the medications. Her grandma died as a result of this. It's strange having this thinking. If only she hadn't cheated on me, I would have moved her in with me, rather than living with her granny. Her infidelity to me almost killed her grandma. She told me about it last year and I was surprised. 3 or 4 years have passed since we last talked. This took me completely by surprise. She's in a foul attitude right now. She holds herself responsible for the death of her grandma. I'm sorry for what happened to her. I gave her one more chance to prove herself. Her parents were still a little toxic to her, and she was still sad as a result of their behavior. If she's loyal this time, and has also helped her with her sadness, I'd invite her to live with me in my apartment. She had completely neglected me for a week, so it was inevitable that she would be unfaithful. Is this something you've heard before? She hasn't changed in the slightest. My connection with her came to an end. Months later, she calls me to tell me that she has become much more depressed. Her canine companion died gone. Her dog was suffering from cancer. She lacked the financial resources to help the dog. If they put the dog down, or whether it died from the cancer is a mystery to me. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I believe I may have spared her dog's life. I was in possession of the monies. So her cheating on me again resulted in the death of her dog. The next several weeks saw her make an effort to revive our relationship. What would motivate me to perform such a thing? She hasn't changed in the slightest. I'm also interested in finding out who would die if I were to be cheated on again. As a result, no. To be clear, I have no intention of getting back together with her. The conclusion should have been obvious after the last 3 sentences of the paragraph.